Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly? I'm sorry about the photo. I think it was taken a couple of years back when I had a few extra kilos on me. This is the first time I'm presenting in iConnect, and I think it's the first time I'm actually presenting to many end customers. So I consider it a privilege being here on stage. I've been in the industry, the security industry, for about I think it's about 9 years now. I started off as a techie. I'm a hardcore techie. I used to do a lot of coding. I worked on a lot of video analytical products prior to joining Milestone. And somewhere down the line, I migrated to the business side of things. And currently, I'm the business development manager for APAC. I think the previous slide summarized my duties and my responsibilities in Milestone. So we've heard the previous two speakers, Mr. Sudhindra and Anand, talk about the open platform. A very key factor is that everybody claims to be open. Typically, you take the product sheets, it says that we're ONVIF compliant, and they say that they're open. And some of the VMS manufacturers, they say that we support 8 to 10 different camera manufacturers or 20 different camera manufacturers, and we are an open platform. But that's not really what an open platform is. What does the Wikipedia say about an open platform? What it says is that it's a software system which is based on open standards, and it has fully and published documentation on how to integrate, typically based on the APIs. That's the standard programming interfaces, and it defines software functions. So what people can do is they can use these APIs and create their own applications on it and make the software behave in a different way than the original product manufacturer or the product developer intended to do. And then the beauty of that is that no base source code is actually modified. You know, the open platform symbolism, what the Milestone says is that, I think I told this yesterday as well, we believe in moving from a company to a community setting, wherein we put in partnership first. There are a lot of companies who come in and say, you know, we do complete end-to-end solutions, from cameras down to your networking and your cabling and so forth. But then what Milestone feels and what the open community feels is that end-to-end is a complete dead end, because you're stuck with one solution, you have no way forward, and you require a great deal of new investments that you need to make in order to change if anything goes wrong. It's a passive. Single vendor solution is a passive. What we bring in is our experience in making this making the open platform. We have more than 50 plus in IT infrastructure partners. You have a freedom to mix and match. You have access to 300 plus integrations from Milestone solution partners. We support close to 5,000 cameras across 115 different manufacturers. Massive number of encoders that we support, more than 200 plus. We also integrate with third-party solutions or DVRs, input-output sensors, etc. And we also assist in developing, installing, and supporting custom developments, or tailor-made custom developments. The other myth in the industry is that, especially in India, we have a lot of competition coming up and saying, we have development team in India, and we can tailor solutions to exactly your needs. We also have people coming and saying that this is what the market requires and this is what we do. So let me give you a brief background on what we feel or what Milestone follows as a market-driven product development. So Milestone basically divides the entire product development into 4 main quadrants. First thing is the unique unknown. Now this is the place where we want to excel. This is where the true innovation happens. This is where the disruptive influence also comes in. Then there are unmet market needs. There are many market needs which are currently unmet. Then we have the maintenance investments. wherein we have a lot of product development which has already been done, and we have to maintain these investments. And there are a lot of features which probably competition has that we probably need to bring on to the table. So where the milestone basically looks at this entire pie chart as a whole, and we give equal importance to each of these 4 quadrants. And that's why you see that there are the 4 quadrants are equal. So milestone follows few steps in the market-driven product management. The first thing is that we have multiple BDMs across the various different regions, me being one of them. What we see is we talk to a lot of the sales engineers comes up and says that, we need feature A, feature B, feature C. So we conglomerate all these, we bring all these features together and we call them epics, and we define these epics and we submit it to our product development team. Now, the way we're structured in the product development team is also pretty unique. We have something called as a soundboarding technique. So there are hundreds of epics ideas that come across the globe, so it's just not one particular region. Then the soundboard consists of internal R&D team, go-to-market team, as well as we have external stakeholders as well. So Milestone has about 140 external stakeholders coming in from end customers, consultants or system integrators, the whole gamut of the entire security infrastructure. Now this is what is being open, right? So we open up our development efforts to the market, and we ask the people, we share the ideas with them. Then we ask the stakeholders to rate these various different epics. Now, based on the ratings, that's when we decide that these are the features that has to go into the product development, and that becomes the epic outlook for us. And this epic outlook is further reduced into the pre-release scope, which goes into the release cycles. Now the release cycles itself, it's very important for us to change with the market and the market requirements. So we have a 4-month product release cycle. I think this year alone we have done 2 product release cycles with the 2016 VMS, as well as we had a release in June first week. We have an upcoming release coming up in October. So we are adding, the epics come in really quickly, and we do a lot of product development on these epics, and these get released in every 4-month cycle. Faster reaction time to market, and faster reaction time to changing needs. The other myth is that we've been speaking to a lot of end customers. They feel that Milestone is meant only for the advanced products or enterprise-based solution. In fact, even yesterday I had a couple of gentlemen come in and say that you're a very high-end solution, and you cannot look at the lower-end solutions. No, that's not true. So we provide solutions for both business and advanced products. Taking a look at the segmented matrix. So if we have x-axis and y-axis, we have on the x-axis we have low complexity and going up to a really high complexity, and you have the y-axis wherein we have the single site going up to a distributed site with multiple owners as well. So we have products to address the business-ready solutions as well. We have products the other end of the spectrum, which is the advanced products. The business-ready solutions are basically low-touch products, plug and play, install, forget. The high-end products, they have innovative functionality. There are multiple integrations possible on this. And mainly these are used for high installations, large number of cameras, let's say 2,000 cameras to going up to tens and thousands of cameras. Just giving I think many of you would have seen this, but I would like to go into this again. We have the Exprotech professional VMS products. That's the business-ready solutions. In the first 5 bars, you have the Go Essential, Expert, Professional, and the Enterprise. And you have the Exprotech Advanced products, which is the Expert and Corporate. We also have our own Husky line, which is again meant to be a plug-and-play Husky line. We have a very low-end M10s going up to the M500s. The M500s can support even up to 500 plus cameras recording on a single server. We spoke about how Milestone has solutions for both the advanced as well as the business study solutions. The other question which keeps on coming to us is that Milestone cannot support struggles to do more than 5,000 cameras. No, that's not true again. So we have, if you can talk to our sales engineers, they will help you with large scale architecture designs where they can even plan out your 10,000 camera projects or 50,000 camera projects, etc., etc. Key considerations, key numbers that I want to add here is that every management server that we have can support anywhere between 8,000 to 12,000 cameras. Again, these numbers are basically defined, or it depends on the number of PTC cameras you use, the number of streams that you enable from each camera, and the number of recording servers you have. Given servers, they can handle 1,200 events every second, and sometimes in peak times it can handle about 6,000 events. And we have the industry's highest recording server specifications, which means that we can do 3.1 gigabit per second live viewing, 3.1 gigabit recording, 300 megabits per second for playback and recording, and mind you, it's all at the same time. When our competition talks about these numbers, I think the number are less than half of our capability. When they say 2.1 gigabit per second, it's actually a combination of live viewing, recording, as well as playback. So this is where this is a big differentiation with the Milestone systems. When we say that we do a 3.1 gigabit fully do play. One of the other myth when it comes to a large server, when a large server recommendation or large scale server recommendation is that people feel that you need to use really high-end servers, to do the perfect job. In fact, it may be cost effective to do that, but it's always better to break it up into less powerful systems and manage these less powerful systems better. Just an example of a large scale VMS design. So you have a large scale system in a single site. Each of these nodes here can support about 10,000 cameras. So typically what you're seeing here is a network which supports close to 100,000 cameras. Similarly, this is a large scale system at a distributed site. Now, again, each of these nodes in each of the distributed sites is about 10,000 cameras each. And you have this a combination of 3 or 4 or 5 different nodes at each site. And you also have a distributed site at remote locations wherein you can have the different kinds of Milestone flavors running at a remote site. For example, when you see this, it's probably running the Milestone Arcus platform or the Husky platform, which can be interconnected into the main site. The other question which keeps on coming back to us is that Milestone does not offer a VAS solution. It's not true. Milestone does offer a VAS solution. It's just not publicized. Please come back to us if you require a VAS solution. We do offer different kinds of VAS solutions as well. But I mean, there is a minimum number of camera requirement for us to look at a VAS solution. Now again, VAS solution need not be on the cloud. It can be hosted at your site as well. But the way that we do the licensing is slightly different. You can have, typically our recommendations, if you have less than 4 cameras in a site, we do not install any hardware there, it's just cameras connected to your management servers. And you have the medium clients, there's probably about 15 to 16 cameras. You either use an appliance or a custom device. Similarly, larger clients, you have a custom dimension hardware, so you can have, we will give you recommendations of what is the right hardware to put in the site. You can have, or you have existing Milestone systems installed in a site and you want to move it to a kind of a VAS solution that's possible. And the Milestone VAS, the management server, either can be hosted either by us, or if the SI is willing, they can host it. as well. Milestone is also coming up with its own cloud-based solution as well, which is going to be there. How many of you have used multicasting? And what are your thoughts about it? No thoughts? So this, again, it's a very, very confusing conundrum. I think we've all encountered this in one place or another in one or two of the tenders that have come out almost every year, big tenders that come out every year. Now it's a very confusing thing. I would call it a sleeping tornado. I mean, if you do not configure, this is exactly where Anand and the team come in. If your network is not planned, then you cannot control the tornado. You cannot control the tornado at all. So you need to prevent the multicasting to actually not becoming a tornado. So how do you do that? So are everybody aware of what multicasting is? No. Okay. Let me just. So unicast. Let me go to unicast then. So unicast is typically a one-to-one communication. So you have one camera, one management server, and you communicate from the camera to a management server. But in the case of a multicast, the same camera can probably communicate to multiple places. It can connect to the same stream, or not the same stream, multiple streams from the camera can connect to multiple different systems on the network, or multiple different clients can access the same camera feed. So in this case, multicasting directly from the camera. So before I go into this, other thing that I hear from the market is that Milestone does not support multicasting. This is not true. Milestone does support multicasting, but Milestone supports multicasting in a very, very, very clean way. Clean way which will manage the network really well, and it doesn't make there are no places where you can actually become a tornado. So here we have, in the case of a multicasting from a camera, you have a camera installed, you have a recording server, and you have the clients installed. So you basically in the case of a multicasting from a camera, you are actually streaming the video directly from the camera to the client. It sounds very, very simple. The video from the camera is direct, and it does not have any impact on the recording server at all. So the recording server also gets a stream which it records, but the camera. So now this is coming from an analog world, because every camera is connected to a PVR, and you view on the PVR or on a client station. But in the case of a multicasting via recording server, it's a little bit more complicated, but it is something that the IT professionals in the industry understand really well. So we all have situations where we have a big server and we have thin clients in our offices or in our workplaces. Now, in the case of thin client, what happens is you have one server, and we get a slice of that particular. We can log into that server and get access to the server through a standard login process. Now, that's what the multicasting via recording server is. In this case, you have all the camera feeds going into the recording server, and then when the client is connected to the recording server, only then it will be able to view the cameras. It sounds really, really complicated. Sorry. So for the non-IT savvy people, they keep asking, why is this required? It looks really, really complicated. Direct from the camera was really simple. But there are serious security threats if you do not do this. So first thing we need to keep in mind is you need to segment the network. So how is it different? So in the case of multicasting directly from the camera and the client network need to be same. Now, because of which the entire design, the security issues that Anand was talking about earlier becomes very, very apparent here. Because the client has access directly to the camera, and he can log into the camera, he can change things on the camera, or he can hijack the camera. So which is, even without the client, it's a pretty scary thing. But in the case of multicasting from a camera, the camera and the client can be set in a complete different network. The security can be defined by the VMS security. In fact, Milestone has published a hardening guide on best security policies that you can actually use in the network. You can define the HTTPS based access. You can have the Kerberos security. You can have the 8265 asymmetric encryption methods as well. In the case of, again, directly from the camera, imagine a scenario where your camera supports 10 streams, and you have a case where you have the VMS, more than 10 different clients for this particular camera. The camera supports only 10 feet. It's not possible for you to get 10 feet out of more than 10 feet out from the camera. And then imagine the bandwidth requirement to require at every camera. And you need to have the network planned in such a way that it supports the bandwidth required at every camera. And it's almost impossible to figure out the required bandwidth at this place. Now it's a big quagmire. It's a big complication that is in place when you're multicasting from the camera. But however, when you go to the server, the entire thing changes. The only thing that probably the recording server needs is maybe 1 or 2 streams, and remaining everything is basically multicasted from the server. Now, here we can define the number of connections. There's no limit on number of connections. You can have more than 10 to 15 connections. Sorry, to the VMS. Bandwidth calculations can be made easily in a single place. And moving on, the segmenting for the VMS multi-site operation. The network should be designed as one large rooted switch, and anyone who has access to these cameras can access the cameras. In the case of multicasting from a server, it's a closed network. They'll have access only to the central server, and they need to gain access only from this the central management server. You can infuse firewalls wherever and however you actually require. Maintenance. Milestone defines every camera has its own driver. In the case of any changes to the driver, we need to go to each and every individual client in order to upgrade the drivers, bring it up to speed, bring up the latest drivers on this thing. And it's a really complicated process. You don't know the number of clients. You may miss some of your clients if you do not have a proper audit process. But in the case of multicasting from a server, you can manage the camera drivers centrally just by, you need to do it only from one location. Not to mention third-party integrations. More often than not, probably in 80 to 90% of the projects, the third-party integration bandwidth is never considered. And this causes serious implications at runtime. You stress out the system, you stress out the bandwidth, you have frame losses, your recording is not complete, and you have jagged video. But in the case of multicasting from the server, you have all integrations happening with the server. It's easy to compute the bandwidth requirements. And there's no extra streams. You do not require extra streams from the cameras because the recording server has no limitations on the number of camera streams you need. And all that you need to do is try and build a scalable network at one particular location rather than multiple different locations. And I can't stress on this factor. We have a lot of competition coming up and saying, it's so easy multicasting from the end customer, and it's actually rather multicasting from the cameras. Don't fall into the pit. Multicasting from the cameras directly is a nightmare. If not today, it's going to come back and haunt you tomorrow. Because the bandwidth, you can never predict how the bandwidth will actually behave when you have multiple connecting multiple clients connecting to the camera. Support. It's a thing that holds everything together. The other key thing that we have seen in the market is that people say that you're not an Indian company. How are you going to do support? How are you? Your development team is not in India. How are you going to do custom development? Milestone invests a lot on support. We have a lot of self-learn tools and online support availability. You can log into a website. You can log into your My Milestone and access the self-learning tools. We have various levels of support using the Milestone Care. So if you're on the Care package, we have every product comes with Care Basic. Then you can upgrade it to Care Plus, Care Premium, or Care Elite with 24/7 support, 24/7, 365 days support. The other thing is that probably Milestone in the VMS scenario has the largest team with respect to a large player in India. Big part of the APAC support team is based in India, and they're based in Bangalore, and they are here to support each and every one of you at any given instance. We have pre-sale support based in India as well. We have localized training capabilities and product certifications. It's possible in India. Every week we have trainings happening. I strongly urge our end customers to ensure that the SIs they work with are trained and they're up to speed and they're certified by Milestone. We have a larger team. We are looking at larger support team in India in 2017, and this is only going to bolster the fact that we don't take support lightly. Last but not least, why should you choose Milestone? Milestone is an award-winning solution. We have a lot of installations globally. The other fact is, I don't know if you know the IHS rating, IHS ranking which came out last month. Milestone has been rated #1 in the world, so which means that we have the #1 global share for the VMS in the world. And in Asia, we have moved up from #4 to #2. In India, we were #1 last year. We are #1 this year as well. Thanks to all of you for your support. As I said, open platform community. We are a true open platform community. We understand the requirements that you need, and we build our products for future. You can access our software from anywhere with just a click of a button. You have the freedom of choice to choose from the big gamut of the installation, the integration that we have. Take help from our expert. We have online tools. We have support teams in order to get the most for your security needs. Thank you again. Any questions that you may have, please get back to me. Cheers. Thank you.